Right. So we had a machlokes between Rav and Shmuel, number one, bottom of Mem Beis and Mem Beis. Number one, we had a machlokes Rav and Shmuel, where they paskin like Rabbi Gamliel in all cases, or only by the boat. So Rav said across the board, deer, sahar, and sfina. Shmuel said only by the boat we paskin Rabbi Gamliel. Machmir, like Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shua, when it comes to the deer v'sar. Everyone, though, agreed, the Gemara said, that when it comes to the boat, there's clearly a distinction. That everyone agrees that they were makel. What was the reason? So we had two opinions in that issue. And either we had Rabbah, who said the difference between a boat is that I already acquired my position within the boat, within the mechitzas before Shabbos. So that clearly is different than being transported into a dir v'sahar on Shabbos, and since I had the mechitzas around me, when Shabbos came, so the boat becomes my abode fully, and I can walk around the entire boat without any issue. Reb Zera took a different track, and he said that no, it's because you have constant motion on the boat, and therefore you can never establish your Daled Amos, and therefore your Daled Amos, they constantly move. So we're in the middle of that Rashi, because we had, let's see here, we're up to the V'kashim. Let's read the Rashi one more time. Not lasso mitchilas arba minuchas l'sof arba. Right, so this is Reb Zera's logic as to why Sfina is a whole different story than a Dir V'sar, where you're in a corral, you are where you are. But when you're in a boat, and obviously Reb Zera is dealing with a moving boat, there's no ability to pin you down. Klaimar. And therefore that's why you have the entire boat. That's why Shmuel would make a distinction, paskin like Rabbi Gamliel, by the boat and not necessarily by the Dir V'sar. Klaimar. Okay, once he leaves the Tchum, lo niknu lo arba amos, there is no acquisition of a specific Daled Amos. Esfina kol shohi malaches b'chol kvitza kvitza yosmi arba amos. Yosmi arba amos. It's moving more in every step that you take, more than the Daled Amos that you want to limit yourself to in walking. Nimsa she'en lo taras arba amos klal. Therefore, according to this prat, there is no such concept of Daled Amos, because you can never fix it, because you're always in motion to, move beyond where you ever thought you were going to be, to locate yourself. There's never a time that you can take a step and say, I'm here. What do you mean you're here? You're constantly moving. Wherever you were half a second ago, you're different now. Okay, so in this version, there's no arbamos b'chlal. Or another version, going shasfina olechas lemizrach, v'umahalach betocha l'mayriv. Okay, the boat is going towards the east, and he's going in it towards it to the west. Shasfina machziroso kol shol letoch arba amosav. Okay, then so you're always being brought back. If you're going opposite the flow, so this is a much more limited concept. That the reason why you're allowed to walk is you're only allowed to walk in the opposite direction where the boat's going, so that you're constantly being put back into your initial position. V'kashli, but I don't like Rashi. It's problematic to me. Tenachalicha. That's if you're walking. Avlum chozel rosh ha'acher. If you're going back to the other side of the boat, the other head, the front of the boat, I guess. How would it be mutter to go in the other direction?
If the boat's going this way, right, and you're walking, so that you're keeping the same place, and once you reach the Rosh Acher, and you stop, but then the boat continues. Is that
what?
That's the way I'm understanding Rashi?
Well, but yes. So what's the question?
Now you're no longer in Arba Amos.
Huh?
Now you're no longer.
Well, you can walk toward the end of the boat.
Right, but now you've reached the end of the boat, but now you're past your Arba Amos are right here. Now you've just moved.
Right.
So it only works while
right. Okay.
During the length of the boat.
Or I mean, I don't know. You could say the same thing would be true if he's going in the other direction.
And you get out of it quicker.
Right. If he's going in the other direction, then also I'm not in the same place I started. The point is that you have a lot. In other words, according to this, you only have very limited place to walk. Rabbi Gamliel doesn't sound like you're limited in the place where you right? Umasis lo chilik Rabbi Gamliel bein shu mahal chutzad zeh bein shu mahal chutzad shasfina meleches. Right, even if I'm going in the direction that the boat is going, I'm still sounds like it's mutter. And according to that, I shouldn't be allowed to. I'm only allowed to walk in the direction that the boat, is not going. I'm going opposite. So that's why I would say the same. So that's a very shver pshat Rashi's holding, because I would be way too limited in that pshat, which Rabbi Gamliel does not seem to concur with. V'zeu loshin daidi Reb Shimon mipi Rav. Okay, lishna achrina. Okay, so he rejects. He embraces one pshat, rejects another pshat, then gives me and comes up with a lishna achrina. Claimar she'okis raglo kodem shenitna hasfina. Kodem shenichena hasfina motziosel midalaramis shaloi. Before he even has a chance to put his foot down to walk dalaramis, he's already out of the dalaramis. And perforce, against his will, that's not what he wants, but the boat's moving. It's moving way faster than he could move. It's like he's been transported out of his present dalaramis into a new dalaramis. What's halacha when you get transported into a new dalaramis? You have dalaramis, right? So I always have a new dalaramis. So it's not pshat I can't determine it. It's pshat that it's always new. Very similar to the first pshat, but I guess the two sides of the same coin, so to speak. One is that you never can get it. One is that it's always new.
Didn't we establish that a boat, as long as it's above the water is a certain depth, he's on a makom patur?
Well, the pashtus is not when you're in the boat. Pashtus, that's when you're out of the boat, when you have the thing hanging outside and you're above 10 tefachim from the water. It might be a makom patur, but the boat itself, we never assume that. At least not yet.
If the boat's not a makom patur, then and the boat becomes your species for Shabbos or whatever you want to call it, then that means the whole area is your.
Not if it's moving, though. That's if it's stationary. If it's moving, then you can look at it like
the boat is still the boat.
Well, again, that's one way. That would be Rabbi Akiva's approach, but
that because it's moving, then it's a makom patur because it's up for the water.
Well, I mean, no, it's a moving rishus yachid. It's like a boat that's like the teva. It's a moving rishus yachid, and it's so.
If it's a rishus yachid, then the whole boat's a rishus yachid.
Right, but it's a whole boat that's moving, and therefore you want to walk throughout the rishus yachid. And Rabbi Gamliel will say you can't because you've already gone out of the tchum.
Is it on the water?
No.
Is he saying it's on the water then? If you're telling me my $1 is the square in the water and the boat's moving, and I got to go back to that square in the water, then the boat is...
Well, I mean...
It doesn't...
Well, again, I mean, that's really the two visions. Rabbi Akiva is going to say, I don't care about the water, you're on the boat, and at least to be mach, we'll see. I mean, that might be a chumrah to say that, but he doesn't really look at the fact that I'm moving. He doesn't adopt this svar, at least the chumrah doesn't adopt it. But Rabbi Gamliel's way, the way Reb Zeir is learning, is that the movement can never establish you because you recognize the fact that you're moving. And if you recognize the fact that you're moving, you're in a car, or let's say whatever, you're in a boat, a car, it's all the same, and you can't. Therefore, your dollar amos is constantly changing. So I can never pin you down.
But so then, where's your dollar amos?
You don't. That's exactly why you don't have one. That's why you can. That's why you can go the entire boat, because you can't pin me down. Every my dollar amos is moving every second, so it's okay. I mean, this is one way of looking. This is Reb Zeir's way of looking at it, but it seemed like a pretty compelling argument. So what's that? Let's just finish the Rashi. It's like the goyim took you out of your dal amas. Okay, and let's say they put you into a new dal amas. That you get a new dal amas. This is the pshat that he likes the most. So it's not pshat that I can't. I never have dalaramis. It's pshat that I always have a new dalaramis. I'm constantly being moved from position to position, and in every position I have a new dalaramis. So essentially, I can keep walking forever because it's always my new dalaramis, which gives me 4 new amas. Okay, so this is we have Rabbah. So Rabbah's logic was that the walls of the boat acquired for me mibojom. Reb Zeir's logic is that the boat gives me a new dalaramis every single second. To which Gemara now asks, my bina, back to the Gemara, 3 lines from the bottom, my binai, what nafkamina is it between Reb Zera's logic as to why we lean in Rabbi Gamliel's direction by the boat as opposed to the Dir V'Sahar, as Shmuel did? What's the logic? What's the difference between these two approaches? My binayu, ikibinayu, shinifchisu doifnei svina. Let's say the walls became less than 10 tfachim, so you no longer have, it became one of these flatbed, aircraft carriers. So it doesn't have walls. So if it doesn't have walls, you can't call yourself Rishus Yachid. So look at Rashi. My ben Rabbi Reb Zera, shivchesu dofnei svina, ubotlu hamechitzas. The mechitzas have become nullified. The Rabbah, according to Rabbah, you can't use that logic that the walls pin me in and give me my domain as Shabbos comes, because you don't even have any walls. I guess you don't hold of. It wasn't like one of those walls, wasn't a square boat that you can just use the walls and shoot straight up. I guess it was like like a ship. I guess all slanty, so you can't use that.
A barge.
Yeah. So fine, right? So but the Rabbah lessa. According to Rabbah, there is no logic of water in this case. Reb Zera Isa, but according to Reb Zera, there is still the logic because you're fart moving. Or inami, another nafkamina would be back to the Gemara. Kofetz, but kofetz misfina l'sfina. If I'm jumping from boat to boat on Shabbos, and therefore I can't use the logic that I've already acquired my position from before. Look at Rashi, the last Rashi on the page. Inami bekofetz misfina l'sfina uba'avim mechitzasa shalzu lo shavas. Okay, I did not rest on Shabbos in the walls of this particular area, so you can't use the logic that this is my abode as Shabbos enter, because that's not where I am right now. I'm in a different boat. Okay, l'Rabba ein yochel lahalich bezu or b'zer shari. According to Rabba, I can't go there because the logic doesn't apply to this situation. Well, according to B'zer, as long as I'm moving, the Daled Amos keeps becoming a new Daled Amos, and Mela I can keep rolling along and keep jumping from boat to boat, and my travels never really are limited. I can always keep going. Okay, so let's go back to the Gemara. Reb Zera, my time Amma Karaba, last line on the page. Why does Reb Zera not like Rabba's logic? I mean, after all, let's say obviously in a boat which is stationary, right? You would be able to use Rabba's logic, and you can't use Reb Zera's logic in that situation. So why would you not like Rabba? To which he would say, it's a very interesting svar we now get exposed to, that Reb Zera says, I can't buy into your logic because walls have to be built for the purpose of walls, and walls are to keep, and by now we know, especially in the Trump version of the world, which is clearly correct, is you're meant to keep out the bad stuff and protect the people inside. Okay, but why are walls on the boat? The boat is meant to keep out the water, not to protect people on the inside, and therefore you can't call this standard mechitzos. Look at Rashi. Lavriach mayim asuyos v'lo chashivim mechitzos lasot svina kul karbamos. It's not chashiv enough because it isn't really meant for the protection of the people inside the boat. It's meant to hold out the water. Interesting. Okay, fine. Rabba. Okay, so that's why Reb Zera does not like Rabba. So the notion that I acquired a place in that boat, you can't use the walls of the boat as real protection because it's not what it was made for. It was really made to keep the water out. I guess if you could have a barge, or if you can move without any walls, then I don't know why you're not afraid of falling over. I don't know why that's not a svara, but I guess that's not what they worried about it. That's not the reason why they made it. Or maybe for that you wouldn't need 10 tfachim. Maybe you need 10 tfachim walls. So as the water splashes, you can keep the water out. Okay, if Rabbi, my time lo amma Reb Zera. Okay, so I understand why Reb Zera doesn't like Rabbi. Why would Rabbi not like Reb Zera? It's a beautiful svara. You're constantly in motion, and if you're constantly in motion, you should be able to always keep moving, and therefore, I don't need your svara. Rabbi, I'm very happy with Reb Zera's svara, right? Isn't that good enough? To which the Gemara says, yeah, it actually is good enough, except one problem. But malech is kuli amalei pligi. the Gemara is like capitulating that really when the boat is moving, absolutely Rabbah would embrace Reb Zera. There's no reason not to. Okay, I guess the only question is he embracing? Does everyone embrace Maleches, even the other Tanoim, or is it only Rabbi Gamliel that embraces Maleches? But for sure, Rabbah personally would definitely embrace Maleches as a svara when that boat is moving. Okay, but Maleches Kuli Amaloi Pligi. By Maleches, everyone admits that it's a valid svara. This Kul Yam is like I said, that's the little bit of a debate in the amongst Mefarshim. Ki Pligi b'shamda. The whole machlokus is where I need Rabbah to come in is when the boat is stationary. That's in Rabbah's world. In Rabbah's world, there is no discussion by Maleches. The only issue is by Amda when it's a stationary boat, and that's why I need my svara. Right? Obviously, Reb Zera is going to disagree with that. But according to Rabbah, there is no issue. Everyone would embrace the halacha of a moving boat being a situation where you have unlimited movement. Look at Rashi. Rabbah will answer back, but Maleches, the Iklamemar Haitaima, the Sfinot also. I feel a Rikiva mode of Shari, right? B'chlal. I mean, this in Rabbah's world. What I was saying is really in Reb Zera, it gets tricky. But in Rabbah's world, that's not an issue. Everyone would agree with Reb Zera's svara, and therefore I'm not going to bring Reb Zera into explaining the machlokes between Shmuel's adopting Rabbi Gamliel's position by a boat and not by Sar and a deer, is because there is a machlokes about a moving boat. About a moving boat, everyone would agree. So that's not even lo bo b'cheshbon to even discuss it, because that's not where the machlokes is. The machlokes is where it's stationary, and that's where I need my svara. Why Shmuel likes Rabbi Gamliel as opposed to Rabbi Akiva, because of the concept that the walls were made held you in already when Shabbos came, and that's why I need my svara. But by Malachas, everyone agrees. Even Rabbi Akiva, the most machmedik Tana, would agree that by the boat you're okay. Kipligi b'shamda. Okay. Let's see one more Rashi. When do they argue? When it's stationary. B'shas amidasa konolei dalan amosein, and it's at the time that it's stationary that you acquire your dalan amos. And even though you acquire those dalan amos, and one could argue, longitude, latitude, positioning, that's where you have. So when the boat starts moving, why are you able to traverse the entire boat? The answer is because you already acquired it by the Avra Mechitzos, or even not. In other words, forget about the movement. That's maybe it's not whatever. But the point is, why can't I walk the entire boat? Why, according to Rabbi Kiva, I was limited to my Dalan Amis? Well, according to Rabbi Gamliel, I can walk the entire boat because I acquired the entire boat. The place of the entire boat through the walls of the boat. The boat had 10 tefachim mechitzos. Those 10 tefachim mechitzos were enough to give me access to the entire boat. According to Rabbi Gamliel, it doesn't do that for you. And according to Rabbi Zera, I guess he doesn't buy into that logic either, because he says it was made. Those walls are not really made for the inside people. It's made to keep the water out. Okay, so that's why Rabbah and Reb Zera had to argue, because basically Rabbah needed to move the machlokas to hold it from playing, where the boat was stationary and there was no movement. Okay, so while the other hand, Reb Zera says no, the machlokas is when it's moving, not when it's stationary, and I don't buy into your svara because I don't like the concept of walls of a boat being able to establish a place for you. Okay, so ready to proceed. Amrav Nachem bar Yitzchak Masisa Namideka. The Malachos Lei Pligi. I'll even bring you a raya, says Rav Nachem bar Yitzchak, that they do not argue by Malachos. They only argue by stationary. So this is a support of Rabbah, that by Malachos there is no dispute. By Malachos there is no dispute. I'll bring you an indication that Rabbah is right and that Reb Zera is wrong. How do I prove that? Mimai. What's the basis to support Rabbah and to say they're not arguing by Malachos? Okay, there was a story about they came from this place, Paldarsin, whatever. The Fliga Asmasa Bayam, and the boat left the port. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah holchu as kula, and the Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah went traversed the entire boat, feeling that it's all theirs to walk. It's all one place. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Kiva, why? And but Rabbi Kiva on the other hand did not move. Why? And look at the language here. That's the key. Is the language because they want to be machmer upon themselves. Now this is clearly a moving boat, right? It says it left the shore, it left the port, and the question is, once it left? I guess they weren't planning on it leaving, but it left, and it's on Shabbos, and they walked the entire boat according to Rabbi Gamliel, while according to Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Akiva, they were machmer on themselves to keep in their one set position of within the Dal Amitz. Now, it's all fine and dandy if you learn like Rabbah that there's no machlekes essentially when there's a moving boat. Everyone agrees it's mutter to go the entire boat. Well, now then the language makes perfect sense. Hanediktani Ratsu. The language that they wanted to be machmer upon themselves makes perfect sense because they really was mutter to go the entire boat. Because Ma'amaleches Reb Zera's Sfar is a universal Sfar. Everyone buys into Reb Zera's Sfar. Okay, and that's why they
has walls, doesn't have walls.
Right.
That makes any difference.
It doesn't make any difference.
Once the boat's moving, you can walk anywhere on the boat.
Exactly. So why did they choose to be machmir? Because Dilma Amda. But they chose to be machmir because of a concern that you don't know, especially when you're on a boat and you're I guess, you get, I don't know but in other words, you get so discombobulated about the movement versus not movement. If the boat stops, you still think you're going to be moving, right? So you still, the whole water thing, whatever, you're out there in the ocean. So you're afraid that you might come to, the boat will stop, you will not recognize that the boat stopped, and you'll continue walking. And that will be devastating because according to Rabbi Gamliel, right, according to Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yeshua, you can't walk when the boat stopped. Okay, and that's, so it would make perfect sense why the language is rotul hachmir alatzman. Eliyamrit pligi, but if they argue full bore that there is no such thing as an allowance to walk even by malecha, even when the boat is moving, hay rotul hachmir. Why would the language of the Mishnah be rotul hachmir? Isurahu. It's mamish aser. It's an absolute full blown prohibition. So clearly, the Mishnah seems to indicate like Rabbah and not like Reb Zera. Let's do one more, and then we'll catch up on the Rashi. Rashi says, if further analysis of the Mishnah seems to support Rabbah's position and not Reb Zera, the Tani Sfina domin de Visar, because the Chayra, we're talking about if you look at the Mishnah puts Sfina next to Dir Visar. Ma Dir Visar the Kvi, just like a corral and a fold are set and stationary. I've seen an amid the kvi. So too, the boat case is also kvi. This will be the earlier case, right? Or is the later case? I guess now this is the 1 second. The Snubadir is Sahar. Fligas first b'yam. Okay, I'm not sure what he's referring to. The first case, maybe. Let's see. So we'll see the Rashis in a minute. So fine. Okay, so that's the end of the proof. That the fact that we combine cases of Dir Visar to the boat, okay, then must be that the boat's also stationary. What do you do with the Rotzal HaHachmir? Let's do Rashi. Okay, because we just finished saying that why Rotzal HaHachmir proves that it was a moving boat. Let's see. Right. So the first narrow line of Rashi's. So I'll prove to you from the case of the Plandansrin case. The language of Rotzal HaHachmir makes a lot of sense. Damash with the Shoria fil Rabbi Kiva, which implies that really Rabbi Kiva would also admit that it's mutter. Okay. Alma kiasru lavamlechas asri l'kul yalma. Okay, it sounds like therefore that really when Rabbi Kiva assered, it was not b'maleches that he assered. Vinu hu the amri the achmar nafshai. It was they who were machmir upon themselves. The dilma amda pitoim. There's going to be a sudden stopping of the boat. V'lavadaitan. They're not going to realize it. So in order to avoid a misconception of the movement of the boat, and they might not recognize that the boat actually is now, at the pier and at the docked on at the pier. They'll continue walking, and that would be a devastating situation according to Rabbi Akiva. So that's why they chose Machmir. But if you're going to tell me that when it's stationary, everyone agrees. Right, everyone agrees that it's asur. The mechitzas lo chashiv, where the mechitzas are not considered val mechitzas. Maleches hu depligi, and they're only arguing by maleches, right? Like Reb Zera argued, like Reb Zera maintained. My ratzu. What do you mean ratzu? What do you mean they wanted to machmir? It's mamish and isur. You wouldn't use the language they wanted to be machmir. You'd use the language that it's mamish prohibited. Okay, that's proof number one, which was solid. Now let's see if we can figure out the second proof. I'll prove to you that they're arguing about a case of the boat. Why? Because it puts it together with the sahar and the deer. Bichal the pligi b'sfina. This is weiter. What? Michal the pligi. Yeah, that's weiter. That's weiter. So what's the second proof? Maybe it's a brisa and say, Just 1 second.
So when I looked at it, I thought that it was since they're talking about dir v'sar, and then they say ma'isa shabo, meaning that this proves this machlokus between Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva, but yet they bring a case of a sfina rather than a dir and a sars. So what kind of proof is that? Must be that it's exactly the same.
Yeah, even though that particular case, right, was the case where the boat was moving, but I guess there's an underpinning comparison, like that it would be that the real machlokas would be in the same type of a situation of a boat, which would be like the Avisar. Well, I guess that's what you mean.
No, I don't anymore.
Well, okay, but I think what you're saying, probably as difficult as it is probably sounds like it's right. In other words, like, why would you bring this case of a svina, since it's in the same context as a as a deer in Sahar?
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's.
It's. I mean.
It's funny, but it's
that's what in the translation it says it's the stationary. So the stationary must be the same as deer sar. That's where they actually.
Well, they really argue. The case is a case where they were machmir, but the real crux of the issue would be by a stationary boat, just like dir v'sar. Because why put it in the same mission? I guess the fact that it's in the same mission means that it's essentially the real machlok is about the same kind of case, even though the case I would give you
was actually moving.
It's funny, but okay. I guess that's the shot. Okay, very good.
Is it okay if my head's spinning now?
Again, what?
Is it okay if my head's spinning now?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're all on a boat, and it's we're all getting a little queasy. Okay, that's what Eruvin will do to you. Okay, let's proceed. Amle Ravacha Braid Rav Ravashi. Okay, right, that's what we're up to. So Rav Ashi, the son of Rava, Rav Acha, son of Rava, said to Rav Ashi, Hilchasa Rabbi Gamliel b'sfina. Okay, we paskin like Rabbi Gamliel by sfina, which is exactly what Shmuel did earlier. Rav paskined like Rabbi Gamliel by both. Shmuel paskined like Rabbi Gamliel by sfina. And Rav Ashi seems to, Rav Acha Braid Rava seems to echo Shmuel's position. So what, Hilchasa Michal the Pligi? So what? The fact that you're saying the loch is like this, mashma that they argue. Okay, Rashi. Michal de Pligi, right? We did Dekanami. I'll even give you another proof that they're arguing about Umda. Okay, Michal de Pligi Bisfina Bitmiya Varatsu Ketani. What do you? So now we're sort of coming in from the other direction. What do you mean that they're arguing about a boat? The whole Mishnah seems to indicate that there is no machlokus. He's now taking the other side. Michal de Pligi Bisfina Bitmiya. Rashi says it's a wonderment. Varatsu Ketani. Rabbi Kiva never really fully argued, like, with a clear, definitive statement. All Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shua did is they wanted to be machmir. We know Luhul Rav and Shmuel the pligi besfina. Where is this? How does Rav and Shmuel even know that there's a machlokes altogether by a boat? Where it says yes, there is clearly machlokes even by sfina. In other words, I guess the question is, leaving that last step of the Gemara out. I guess maybe this we're about to prove is maybe makes things a lot easier, but leaving the last step out, the assumption is when the Mishnah says that they want to be machmir, all that means is machlokas. Should you be machmir or shouldn't you be machmir? But who's to say there's ever a fundamental machlokas when it comes to a boat? Where do you see it? To which Shmuel says yes. If you need a brisa maybe to prove it, but if you look at the brisa, you will see unequivocally that there is machlokas by sfina. Vatanya Chananya Omer. Chananya, who was the nephew of Rabbi Yeshua, says as follows: that entire Shabbos, when Rabbi Kiva was fixed, Rabbi Yeshua was fixed, and the other two were walking around the entire boat. I guess they're walking around pacing to determine who should we paskin like. By the nighttime, they made a decision. My uncle Rabbi Yeshua.
Is the nighttime night? Does it walk Friday day around the boat?
I don't think so. It sounds like they worked on Shabbos and Saturday night, right after Avdallah. They made a decision. So absolutely, from that brisa you see unequivocally. I don't know. So he could have. But Rav Ashi wasn't referring to this because Rav Ashi seems like we're referring to a Mishnah, not. This would have been much easier, right? This actually clearly proves that there's a machlokas even by the boat. Anyway, but this wouldn't prove that's necessary a stationary boat. Okay, so forget that. Okay, so the answer is yes. Clearly, there's a machlokas because they deliberated the entire day. And Motzei Shabbos comes, they come up with the psak halacha. We follow Rabbi Gamliel when it comes to the boat. You follow Rabbi Kiva when it comes to Dir V'Sahar, and clearly that answers your shaila. That's indeed that there is a machlokus about both issues. Okay, look at Rashi. In Vatanya, B'nichusa, this Vatanya is a supportive statement. Normally Vatanyas are like with the when in wonderments. This is not with a wonderment. Upligi b'shamda, and they're indeed arguing when they're stationary, when the boat is stationary. Vadiktani Rotsu Amalaches, and the case where they wanted to be machmir was by a movement, this which is the same point that we made earlier. The only way to reconcile a full blown machlokis with a Rotsu lahachmir is how do you determine how do you reconcile those two things? Teretz is it was Rotsu lahachmir when it was moving. If it's stationary, then they're actually firm in their position that it's absolutely usher to walk. Okay, what's a little vav? On the next Rashi, vav. Rashal mochag zeh v'chein lesa dibur zeh v'kama. Okay, so they take it all out. Okay, and the bottom line is, it seems like they take out the Rashi. I'm not gonna. If they take it out, let's take it out. But bottom line is clearly the message is that there are two issues at play, and we pass like one in one issue, and in the other one like the other. Kolos hayom the entire day that they were in the boat, they deliberated about this halacha. And Achi Abba Rabbi Yeshua, my uncle, my father's brother, which is referring to Rabbi Yeshua, Emesh le'erev. That night they came out with the psak halacha, and everything is good.
So they have two different cases: one when the boat's moving, and one when the boat's not moving.
Mm-hmm.
Do they care about how fast the boat's moving? Just has to move.
It seems like it just has to move. I guess the assumption
it's
is
like rocking on the.
Well, Well, that's a good point. It seems like it has to move at a point, like where the logic can kick in, that you're always getting a new dalaramis. If it's just moving like an inch at a time, that wouldn't work.
Because even when you're anchored, the boat moves around that anchor.
Yeah, I don't think that's called moving. I think it's got to be moving. It's got to be like in full bore, because that was the whole logic of Zera, and that's why it was only a chumrah.
Yeah, but your dalaramas are changing as the boat moves around the anchor. I mean, do the same thing.
Yeah, well,
You're not saying spine others on here, and then the boat.
Yeah, what, moving an inch? I mean, so good. I'll give you another inch, but the whole svar is the boat's moving faster than you can walk your dalaramas. So you're always getting a new dalaramas. But if you're moving an inch, how could you go to the far end of the boat, which is 300 feet away? That for sure you weren't.
That's up to you on big boats.
Well, they had. Okay, let's see what they had.
Yes, they have boats that
Cruise ships.
Yeah.
If you want a 30 or 40 foot long boat, and the boat's moving 10 feet each direction.
Yeah, that wouldn't cut it. That's not Reb Zera's logic. Okay, so ready to move weiter. Boy Reb Chanina.
So is that how we hold it again? That there's
Yes.
One case for moving and one case for...
Absolutely, and we follow Rabbi Gamliel by the boat
what
case.
do you do today on the cruise ship then? Your dalaramas are changing as the cruise ship cruises?
Yeah, by Malachas, correct.
So you're just supposed to stay in your stateroom or something all Shabbos?
No, so you have Reb Zera's svara that you're always moving, and therefore you're always getting a new dalaramis. So you're good to go.
So then when the ship stops...
That might be a problem, right? If you go to port on Shabbos, you might have some questions to ask. What should you do?
That's why I don't go on a cruise. Now I know why I don't go on a cruise.
Well, the cruises go through Shabbos. They go.
Yeah, they leave.
Go over. I mean, usually it's like
They leave.
people look for
Actually,
ones that go
nowadays
over
they leave
Shabbos,
on
but
Friday.
ones that have excursion stop days on Shabbos, people
Yeah.
say they can't get off.
Okay.
Well, we know you can't get off,
Right.
but
Well, you
but you're on the boat. What can you do while you're on the boat? Shabbos?
okay. While you're on the boat, you can move around. That's clear. Okay, Bar Reb Chanina. So a new Shaila, new Gemara, can breathe a little bit easier because we just left this, extended, complicated sugya, and now we're moving into a new complicated sugya. Okay, but Bar Reb Chananya, yesh tchumin l'mayal me'asara. Okay, who would have imagined this Shaila? If you're walking above 10 tfachim on the ground, okay, is that called part of your tchum? Or maybe 10 tfachim is not considered on the ground to allow you to not have any limitations if you're floating on air.
Well, but that's the boat case.
On the boat case, you're on the boat. Here, you're above 10 tfachim off the ground. Oh yeah, let's see. Okay, you're
10 tfachim below you.
Oh, well, I mean, not everyone would.
Question.
Oh, well, okay, so let's see. Okay, but you don't need only. In other words, there's other cases besides a boat where you can be off the ground 10 tfachim. So if you're,
Well, yeah, you could have,
so if you want to travel on a tightrope above the ground, are you limited by 10 tfachim, or you can just keep going on the tightrope all the way across Niagara Falls, even though you might be going beyond the tchum?
I was thinking the Grand Canyon, but
What?
I was thinking the Grand Canyon.
Okay, whatever.
Niagara Falls is also good.
Fine. So, okay. So yesh tchum l'mayal masara or ain't tchum l'mayal masara. So amud gavoy asara v'rachav arba. If you're talking about, you want to take a shortcut, in I don't know, you have all these stenders that are placed side by side, and you want to walk on top of the stenders and just get out of town that way. That's not a shaila. That's not called above the ground because that is its own new ground. An amud, a bima, is, right, if you had a 1,000 bimas stacked one against the other, and you're walking on the bimas, you're walking on a Rishus Yachid, so even though you're 10 tfachim above the ground, but you have new ground now, because that's a chashva place, you're on ground. My ground is, yeah, fine, but it's no different than walking on a plateau, right? Wait, tell me, if I'm a plateau looking down, right, to the ground, I'm not on ground. You have ground above 10, right? Because there are mountains in the world, and there are different types of places, and that would not count if it was 10 tfachim high and 4 tfachim wide. Ki tiboylecha, my shaila is why? I'm sorry. That's called extended ground. Ki tiboylecha bi amud gavoy asar ve'enarach varba. Okay, my shaila is, let's say if you're on a 10 tfachim high bima, which is not 4 tfachim wide, which is now which is not choshev enough, and maybe you're viewed as an elevated person. Inami, to go b'kfitza, or maybe you're a high jumper, you're bar beaming, and you like traveling high off the ground. And if you're constantly traveling, over the tchum, beyond the tchum, on an elevated state, maybe that doesn't count. We'll see about this tomorrow. Shkoyach.